Hey folks, welcome to the channel. Let's do coding. Today we will have a look at loops in JavaScript. Loops execute a code block a certain number of times. We can use loops to do many things, such as repeating operation a number of times and iterating over datasets, arrays, and objects. Whenever you feel the need to copy a little piece of code and place it right underneath where you copied it from, you should probably be using a loop instead. Let's first look into the while loops. The first loop we will discuss today is the while loop. A while loop executes a certain block of code as long as an expression evaluates to true. The while loop will only be executed as long as the condition is true. So if the condition is false to begin with, the code inside will be skipped. Let's write a very simple example of a while loop printing the numbers 0 to 10. As we can see, our while loop has printed 0 to 9, and when the value of I hit 10, the loop exited. Here in our while loop, we first check whether the first value of the array is a certain value, and when it is not, it deletes that value from the array using the shift method. It removes the first element of the array. So, by the next iteration, the first value has changed and is checked again. If it stumbles upon the value, it will log this to the console and change the boolean not found to false because it has found it. Let's run it. As you can see, Monica was available in our sum array. That's why we got the message on the console saying found her. We can also do more sophisticated things very easily with loops. Let's see how easy it is to fill an array with the Fibonacci sequence using a loop. In the Fibonacci sequence, each value is the sum of two previous values, starting with the values 0 and 1. We can do this in a while loop as stated. We create two numbers and they change every iteration. We have limited our numbers of iteration to the length of Fibonacci array because we don't want an infinite loop. In this case, the loop will be done as soon as the length of the array is no longer smaller than 25. Let's go ahead and save this program and see in the console what the output we are getting. As you can see, we have got 25 values of the Fibonacci series. To see it in even more cleaner way, let's use console.table. In some cases, you really need the code block to be executed at least once. For example, if you need valid user input, you need to ask at least once. The same goes for trying to connect with a database or some external source. You will have to do so at least once in order for it to be successful. And you will probably need to do so as long as you did not get the result you needed. In these cases, you can use a do while loop. Let's create a simple example where we will use the prompt method to get user input. We will use a do while loop to ask the user for a number between 0 to 100. As you might have seen, the prompt asked 3 times because the first 2 times the number was not between 0 and 100 and the condition in the while block was true. With 23, the condition in the while block became false and the loop ended. For loops are the most popular in programming community and they are a special kind of loops. The syntax might be a little confusing at first, but you may find yourself using them a lot because they are very useful. So let's go ahead and create a simple for loop where we'll be printing 0 to 9 in the console. As you can see, the for loop has also printed values from 0 to 9. We can also use a for loop to create a sequence and add values to an array, like this. Since the loop ran the block of codes 100 times, starting with an initial value of 0 for I, or the index, the block of code will add the incrementing value into the array at the end of the array. This results in an array that has a count of 0 to 99 and a length of 100. Since array starts with an index value of 0, the value in the array will actually match up with the index value of the items in the array. Or we could create an array containing only even values. In this case, the array would contain only even values. Sometimes it can be necessary to use a loop inside a loop. A loop inside a loop is called a nested loop. Often, it is not the best solution to the problem, but every now and then it is a perfectly fine solution to a problem. An example in which we might use nested loop would be when we want to create an array of arrays. With the outer loop, we create the top level array, and with the inner loop, we add the values to the array. Let's do that. When we print this, we will be getting array of arrays. To visualize this properly, we can use console.table. We use the nested loop to create an array in an array, meaning we can work with the rows and columns after having created this loop. This means nested loops can be used to create tabular data. So that's it for this video. And I'll see you guys in next video.